Giulio Boccaletti, I welcome you. Do you hear us?
I do. Good morning.
Right, yeah. Just a moment, we set the volume. You are up on the screen. Try, please.
Very good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
You can start. Thank you, Giulio.
Right. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. I regret not being able to be there in person, but I was very keen to join, at least briefly, to welcome you and wish you a great meeting. Let me just say a couple of things very briefly. First of all, at CMCC we have made the coasts a high priority for our research agenda. About 12,000 years ago, 10,000 BCE, it was the peak of the deglaciation. That was the moment in which the coastline was changing the most rapidly. It was a couple of centimeters a century that was increasing, and it was so fast that people could notice its impact. And this particularly happened in the lower plain of the Euphrates in Mesopotamia, where the coastline is sufficiently shallow that a few centimeters a century meant several meters of change over the course of somebody's lifetime. That transformation of the coastline was instrumental in creating the conditions through brackish water and wetlands to support the first organized fishing communities. And from there, of course, the Sumerian civilization started, and from then the Near East civilizations. This is all to say that at CMCC, we consider our relationship with the coast not just as a place, as a line in geography, but as a frontier. And because we're heading towards a period in human history when the coastline will once again change rather dramatically, we expect it to play a crucial role in the development of our societies and our economies. And for that reason, we've developed a whole program on coasts as the new frontier, which in fact Giovanni Copini, who's there with you, will be able to talk to you about more. So this is just to say that the coast is a fundamental focus for this Euro-Mediterranean Center on climate change for these reasons. So that's the reason why I'm particularly excited that you guys are having this meeting today. I should also say that CMCC has been contributing to CoastPredict since the beginning. It's the host of the Secretariat and believes in the importance of the Global Coast and the Global Coast Project, and has prepared an MOU that has already adopted over 20 partners. And if any of you are not part of this movement, I strongly encourage you all to join in. Lastly, as you probably see if you are in Lecce, we also have a substantial infrastructure, substantial computational infrastructure. CMCC is an organization that's devoted to the creation of infrastructure as a public good for the scientific community. This includes also developing infrastructure for the cloud, ensuring that a global community of practitioners and scientists who work on these issues have access to the resources they need to model, understand, and investigate the behavior of coastal phenomena all across the world. And so watch this space, but we have much more to come on this front. So anyway, I just wanted to say these few words. I think coasts matter. They always have mattered in the history of humanity. At particular moments in time, they have mattered more than others. I believe that the 21st century is one of those moments in which the coasts will shape humanity and civilization like we haven't seen for several centuries. And so I'm particularly delighted that we are talking about this and having such an important meeting on this topic. With that, I will relinquish the floor and pass it back to Giovanni, and wish you all a very, very good meeting.
Thank you, Giulio. Thank you. Thank you for your support. And you know how important is the network. You underlined it. And be proud that we are 120 people, researchers, from 32 countries in the world, from all the continents apart Antarctica. So I think it's a great success. Thank you again. So now, after Giulio, we will have a welcome speech by Simona Masina, oceanographer at CMCC and director of the Institute on Earth System Prediction. Simona, do you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we see you also. Thank you, Simona.
Okay, that's great.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Giovanni. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to most of the people who are there in presence and also those who are online. Some of you are colleagues, some of you are friends, and so it's really an honor to welcome you all to this important assembly. I think it's quite an honor for CMCC Foundation to host such an important event, which, from what I understood and from the agenda, is indeed a series of events related to the CoastPredict Ocean Decade Program and the Decade Collaborative Center for Coastal Resilience. This gathering is really important for this community and for CMCC because, as Giovanni said, brings together more than 100 international experts to advance our collective effort in shaping the science and the solutions that are needed for a more resilient and sustainable coastal ocean. Well, Giulio told us a little bit of a history, very past history of the shaping of the coast. I would like to remind here something much more recent, an event that, in my opinion, was a very important one. It was in 2019 when the IPCC published the special report on the ocean and the cryosphere in a changing climate. That, to my opinion, marked a significant change in the history of climate science. The special report was, for the first time, the IPCC realized that the ocean has really an important role in the climate system. It was an active actor in the climate system. It put an emphasis not only on the science of the ocean and the impact of climate changes on the ocean, but it started to put an emphasis on human communities that depend on the ocean, their vulnerabilities, their adaptation capabilities, and the options available for implementing development climate resilient path. That was really the first time, and in my opinion, it was a very important event that marked a significant change in the history of climate science. And, some results from the report that probably I don't need to repeat but I think it's important to keep in mind and remind every day of our life as a scientist that the role of the ocean in the climate system was to uptake natural and anthropogenic carbon dioxide and heat, and to provide the services to the people, including food, water supply, renewable energy, and benefits for health and well-being. It is certain that the global ocean has warmed since 1970 and has taken up more than 90% of the excess heat in the climate system. This warming since 1993, this rate of warming has more than doubled. Marine heat waves have likely doubled in frequency since 1982 and are increasing in intensity. By absorbing more carbon dioxide, the ocean has undergone increasing surface acidification, and the mean sea level rise is accelerating in recent decades due to increasing rates of ice loss from Greenland, Antarctic, and thermal expansions. Extreme events, extreme waves, tropical cyclones, winds, and rainfall are increasing that, combined with relative sea level rise, make extreme sea level events and coastal hazards more likely to happen and more intense. So that was all stated in this important report in 2019. 2 years later, in 2021, the ocean decade started, and you are part of it, so I don't need to tell you anything about that. So let's come to the CMCC, the Institute for Earth System Prediction that I represent here, is basically a modeling institute. Is committed to improve the climate modeling capacities and fostering the transfer of scientific knowledge into enhanced predictive skills and planning tools. We are basically a bunch of dynamical, statistical, data-driven modelers, and we are all committed to advance the understanding of the climate system across different multiple spatial and temporal scales in support of local response. Basically, we are a scientific institute focused on advancing modeling capabilities, also at the coastal scale. And the future of coastal sustainability lies in this integrated modeling framework. As I said, at IESP, the Institute for Earth System Prediction, CMCC, we are working on enhancing our predictive capabilities across different timescales, with a particular emphasis on extreme events such as storm surges, hurricanes, marine heat waves, and coastal floodings. We are expanding our more traditional multi-scale modeling capabilities, bridging global climate models with regional and coastal ocean dynamics, and incorporating also artificial intelligence and machine learning methods to refine these predictive skills. We are investing a lot in coastal observation system, developing cost-effective sensors, and expanding our role in the citizen science world. Another event that I would like to mention, and that I was captured by looking at the agenda, the very intense agenda that you have during this week, is the Early Career Ocean Professionals Workshop, which brings together the new generation of scientists. They are the ones to bring new ideas, innovative practices, and propose solutions to contribute efficiently to the global effort of coastal resilience. And I would like to end this brief intervention that saying that at CMCC we are strongly supporting this kind of initiatives, and we have recently established a dedicated center. It's called the Advanced Training and Education Center, which aims to provide education, training, exchange, and knowledge transfer on climate change to the future generations. With this, I thank you all for coming to Italy for this event. I wish you will have fruitful discussions during this intense week, which for sure I know that will strengthen our shared mission of ensuring a sustainable and resilient future for coast worldwide. So with this, thank you very much and welcome to Lecce.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Simona. I hope you will be able to follow a bit of the discussion today. And yes, it's very important that we focus on ECOP, and most of them are also coming from the global south. So I think is a double importance. Thank you again. Then we move to the next presentation, which is given by Nadia Pinardi. Please, Nadia, come to the floor. Introduce her. She's chair of CoastPredict, and she will introduce news from CoastPredict program and Decade Collaborative Center on Coastal Resilience. Nadia, the floor is yours.
Good morning again. So good to see so many familiar and unfamiliar, soon to become familiar faces. It's a great honor to have so many people participating in this endeavor. It's a dream, I always say. Last year I had even a song. This year I tried to make a song. I couldn't make it. So my next job will be communication. Okay, so this is CoastPredict, observing and predicting the global coastal ocean, And I am strongly indebted and, really supported by a wonderful team of people that are Willy Curafalo, our co-chair, Joaquin Tintoret, who is in the virtual world, Emma Heslop from GOOS. This is a GOOS program, and the Secretariat. Well, you have known them, wonderful team, Mered and Ariba. So in this short talk, I will try to have an overview of where we are in the decade and also other activity that I have tried to sponsor, which is the creation of a hub where maybe something can be sustainably put together even after the decade. We'll see if that will be your wish, and we'll have the capability to do that. So we have started a DCC Coastal Resilience Partner Alliance Network. The CoastPredict, I will try then to go over briefly because you will have the whole day for this, to some of the 2024 achievements for CoastPredict, which I think are great. Thanks to all of you. And the Ocean Predict frontier, which is the global coast solutions, which will be discussed at this meeting, will be a major outcome of this meeting. And some outlook. So the decade. Decade has this, the science we need for the ocean we want, a bit, I've always been a bit uneasy with this word, but very aggressive sort of thing. But it's certainly true that we need a different ocean from what is its drifting now, where it is drifting now. So as CoastPredict, we have been mainly associated with the Challenge 6, increase community resilience to ocean hazards, and certainly this is what we do. We do it on multiple scales, as we will repeat, and as an outcome, a safer ocean, or a safe ocean. That's also another important goal. So we are about 50 programs that work in the decade. This is a wonderful initiative, to tell you the truth. I'm really excited about the UN Decade. It's an extreme bottom-up process, which really serves what Simona was mentioning, the enlarging, the understanding, the awareness of the importance of ocean into our lives. So another picture I wanted to show you, the decade has established a coordination framework. Here you see the regional centers that are called Decade Coordination Collaborative Centers, and the restructure internally of the IOC programs into Decade Coordination Offices. Okay, and some of them are very important for the future, for us to connect with. They're all extremely relevant for our future. I remember just I noticed only the Ocean Observing DCO, the Data Sharing DCO, Western Pacific DCO. They are really new emerging coordination realities that have new impact, hopefully. Okay, we are Coastal Resilience. We are together with Ocean Prediction DCC, also very important, because the achievement of operational oceanography are going to be amplified by the Ocean Prediction DCC. And the Ocean Climate Nexus, DCC, also very important, looking at specific issues on climate modeling and sustainability issues. Okay, so then we have this all the regional DCCs. We are, as I said, in Bologna, a decade collaborative center for coastal resilience. Our mission is to strengthen the new science that CoastPredict does, but not only CoastPredict, all the other programs that are affiliated to us that have as a major aim at the coast. And so the new science and technology developed in the Ocean Decade and the coastal stakeholders. That's not an easy task, but also the decade is making big steps in forming the new communities of stakeholders that give us requirements, right? So that's very important. And recently, we also had, we defined a strategy to enlarge ourselves. And not only the small center in University of Bologna financed by the regional money that is also very important, but connecting to CMCC and Deltares with strategic common objectives. So different management, financing management, not mixing them yet, but having common and enhanced involvement into the activities. You know, our DCC Coastal Resilience has 4 main strategic objectives. One is science information for all, improve science information for all, enhance stakeholder engagement, promote equitable education, uphold environmental justice for coastal communities. These are 4 major lines of work that we would like to accomplish, and now we have CMCC and Deltares helping, hopefully, others. We found a way with the DCU to work on in this direction. Okay, so now CoastPredict. The objective, you all know, is arrive at decision makers and coastal communities with integrated observing and predicting systems to arrive at solutions for better management, sustainable management, risk management, short-term and long-term. So yesterday it was a fantastic meeting where we saw the importance of the multi-scale approach, right? CoastPredict embrace completely the scientific understanding that we have a multi-scale ocean, that our ocean arrives very close. This is the offshore current that pushes the waters from inland close to the coast, arrives and determines our coastal ocean. So that is what we need to consider. And we need to have more awareness of this by many people. That's a wonderful movie made by CMCC people, the Division of Global Coast. And many people are here sitting, so I really hope you can ask me to introduce you to them. Okay, main achievements in 2024. Implementation of a new governance structure. Yes, we needed in the middle of the path of the decade to find a new governance structure, more efficient, hopefully. So we had a long period of discussion. We enlarged our executive committee, and now we found a new executive committee, which will be discussed. And this meeting will be the final support for this restructuring from you. We started it in Barcelona last year. We had another important step, the formalization of the Global Coast Network through a memorandum of understanding. So this community will now become a community and a visible community inside GOOS. right? And very important, yesterday you heard, I feel this is a very important step, the submission of the FLAME white paper. That was a major achievement by the FLAME project. And expansion of affiliated project to enhance collaboration among expert communities. We had the interest of communities that are really useful for us to implement the new strategy and the solutions, the low-cost sensors, the opportunity sensors, the opportunity platforms. So then we had, under your advice last year, you told us we were missing training. And so I'm very happy to say that with the work of DCC, CR, and CoastPredict, we have started our Coast Resilience School, which I will present to you tomorrow. And we have CoastPredict courses launched. So that will be shown to you. Then we started to think about implementation. Last year, we had an initial meeting with Adaptation Fund personnel, elaborated a strategy, and we started the consultation with UNESCO IOC, with regional groups already formed, a big program already sketched, and from our pilot sites. And to this meeting, we prepared the manual solutions for discussion to get input from you, where these solutions will be partially implemented by the Adaptation Fund and more. So the CoastPredict Frontier is this large network of coastal sites. They are small coastal sites, but they are the one where people have problems. And as I said, we're going to go through the multi-scale approach. We're going to consider everything is available. Fortunately, most of the open ocean forecasting and analysis are open source. And this network will develop a new understanding of what is the global coastal ocean if we will compare solutions in the different areas. So the solutions, we have defined them into building blocks. You will have a document on the web that you can will ask input for. Has coastal observing, cloud infrastructure, short-term coastal prediction systems, coastal climate downscaling, decision support services, prototype, aligned with the sustainable ocean planning activity of the UNESCO IOC, and a large part of stakeholder engagement and knowledge exchange. So from here, I put some video of colleagues that strongly support our project and give ideas on how to go forward.
Yeah, so in answer to your where we're going in 10 years' time in terms of its risk science, I think we have to step out of the single disciplinary space that most science is sitting in, and move to a much more transdisciplinary and multidisciplinary space that engages with stakeholders and engages with local communities to ensure that what science can provide is practical at the implementation level. And that, for me, is sort of the crux of the matter, I guess.
One of the main objectives of CoastPredict is to co-design and implement an integrated coastal ocean observing and prediction system to support the coastal resilience. In this context, low-cost sensor development and citizen science initiative could really support the creation of distributed observing system, also reducing the technological barriers to ensure the equitable access to observing resources for all, and making environmental monitoring more accessible to communities in order to create sustained coastal observing system. At CMCC, for example, we have developed a new very low-cost sea level sensor that can be used for citizen science application. And given the cost and easy installation, a large amount of this sensor can be installed in specific area, so to create an early warning system for storm surge and for flooding. And in this way, it will be possible to provide a large amount of data for forecasting models.
For the digital ocean, we always want to ask questions, and we want to find out how things are going to change, how climate's going to impact the things that we care about. So we need to ask questions. We need to have flexible, scalable solutions that allow us to address these issues. And the cloud gives us the opportunity to use whatever resources we need to ask whatever questions we need to answer, and not be limited just by the amount of resources that we happen to have on our local computers or at our HPC centers. So the cloud gives us the flexibility to really answer the science questions that we need to answer in a timely fashion. And it also allows anyone to ask these questions, not just the people with privileged resources.
Okay, so these are my 3 pillars, and I'm really thankful to them for pushing forward these 3 components of our building blocks of our strategy. So here I go through some of the solutions that will be discussed later. We have, we aim at customized services for early warning systems and climate coastal downscaling. So you see here the complexity of the river coastal continuum now can be addressed with the citizen science sensors to evaluate and build trusted models. The coastal climate downscaling that you heard so much yesterday, and this is an example where we have seen, yes. And the oil pollution, in general pollution, services such as hazard mapping and real-time forecasting, and then the digital twin for nature-based solutions. We have several examples now in the literature are available by you. The community is developing them. We have to make them accessible to the pilot sites. That's where we are going to see the implementation. And the last but not least, the work of advanced professors and students that try to really show the future. This is the future, is machine learning for forecasting. I don't think there is any question in the community about the fact that short-term forecasting can be done with machine learning. And this is an example. You see by the shape of the 2 ensembles here, of the 2 clusters, that the second cluster is much more closer to the middle way. Okay? Good. So we have dreams. So global coast is the experiment to demonstrate these solutions. So at pilot sites, as much as possible, integrated observing and predicting, customized to their specific needs. If there is need for more observations or for more modeling, that will be decided. Design and done with a cloud system infrastructure design, where we have data management standards, hopefully best practices, and where we can create globally replicable solutions. So our latest schematic of the global coast solution on the cloud is this, where you have the pilot projects and the network offering the sites and the solutions, and then converging them into a digital infrastructure, a cloud digital infrastructure, where both, hopefully, public and private can develop services. And then, again, it will be different in each region, right? Depends on the different situations. we will overcome technological barrier, hardware technological barrier, right? So that's the big one, the hardware technological barrier, not the software one. The software we can deal with. Connect the work globally, enable public-private collaboration, replicable solutions. Okay. In this cloud, we will have the whole chain, all the value chain, the part of from the observing to the predicting and to the customized applications. Okay, so it is the end. And this is what I feel is the best wish for us to go ahead. Do more and eat veggies. Choose to adapt. Adapting is a choice. Be creative and use the cloud. And thanks to Professor Siders from Delaware University for making these statements for us.
To Nadia, and we have, thank you also for keeping the time and giving us this inspiring talk. So we have a few minutes for questions, so let's relax and think about any question. Okay, I mean, Nadia, a curiosity, you said that the dots in the map were the area where the coastal system have problems, but I suspect that there are more. So what's the expansion phase? When will come and how we will achieve the availability of our solution for the entire world?
Very good question. Well, it is this assembly that has to tell us how to expand, when to expand. We want to clearly expand, but also consolidate, right? Because we want to have some outcomes, and then we want to expand. The survey was concluded at the beginning of 2024. And it took us the whole year we met first in Barcelona. People said, yes, we want to become a network. And, then we took our time to establish the network and think about partial implementation with the coast side. If you want my opinion is that soon we have to reopen because people are already thinking they want at least to share. Yes, we should be worried about having already some results on the line but we can't, we cannot allow people feeling, oh, we didn't enter in January 2024, so we are not allowed to enter. That is not correct, in my opinion. That's not the UN decade. That's not what we want to do, personally. So, with your advice, after this meeting, we will decide there will be a question, which I will push forward. Think about it during these days. When do you want to reopen? There is a lot of information here. You will see Mered has done a wonderful, together with Samantha Slidecki, and who will never allow me to say her name. I've never been able to say it. I apologize. And they have done a very wonderful analysis of the survey. There's so much data in that survey, so much data. And we need to get more data from you so that we know what is that you have, that you really need, what is the problem. That's the beginning, is the requirements, right? We learned from space. That's the important part. And okay. This is it. Tell us when we restart.
Yeah. Leandro, another question?
One of the questions I was asked when we were starting looking at the Mexican Pacific Atlantic sites, it was kind of, and we started looking at the IOC Caribe project. And I got asked, how are we going to do all this modeling? I mean, we have our clusters and whatever, but it's probably not enough. So how are we doing with the cloud? And I think we were talking yesterday about it, and we need that also to help us share the data and keep all. And you just mentioned it. So how's the dream of a CoastPredict cloud going?
Yeah. I think you will hear more. We have started to make serious steps for that. There is an issue on the public cloud kind of availability, which is an important aspect. We can't just open a call for whatever and so on. This is going to consider data that sometimes they cannot be released to everybody. So, but we have a group of experts here. We will have the presentation about the cloud by this European Grid initiative. Grid is something that is new to the cloud, sort of. Not really new. Sorry, I apologize. I don't see Fiore. Where is he? So the grid is a wonderful thing. It's a lot of very good software that can find their resources when they are made available. Okay, so just to say. Okay, so we have started to go with the experts, find the resources. We'll have prototypes. So we'll find the resources that are public, open, and so. Then what we will do is a phased approach, right? We will first share in the area of interest what is available, especially remote sensing data. I'm totally surprised of my Environmental Protection Agency not using the coastal color data to look at sediment outflow or eutrophication. I mean, to me, is a total. So we need to do this as scientists. Now we have to say we have to use the high resolution remote sensing data. And so we will go by these steps, right? We'll get we will get the available data. We'll push some available data more than other. We'll put new data. Also, new data, very important. New observations, because they teach how to share. The new data, they teach how to share. So.
Thank you. There is a last question from beyond.
Well, I know we are running out of time, maybe not to answer now, but I think next days. Thank you for the great overview, and the CoastPredict and the coastal resilience, a good example of a successful ocean decade program. But now we know it's 25, we're in the middle of the ocean decade, and the time is flying and running. And what is your vision beyond 2030? It will come relatively soon, but this successful story needs to continue, and this discussion has to start soon. So what are your plans in that direction?
My suggestions and discussion with you will make it stronger, and I need all your help. So my suggestion is that we have to put again inside, we have to, to put again. I think I was a young PhD student when I first went to UNESCO IOC. So I know how the policymakers can be important and effective. So we need to aim at bringing back their thinking to the coast. We needed to have the multi-scale approach, right? And the revolution of satellite altimetry, plus infrared radiometry, but also the Argo, it was necessary. We needed to have that. Otherwise, nothing of this would be possible. But now we are there to say, we don't want only the GLOS community, right? In GOOS. We want to have a real coastal dedicated group. So the first thing is to enter into the organizational structure of UNESCO IOC, and we are building the memorandum of understanding, the network that will be there. Make it our policymakers know about it, that their institution participate to that. Then the second one is to introduce new components, because I mean, the programs have, and dedicate more what Joanna was saying, to Joanna's. So she was saying we need to focus on risk science and services. GOOS has not been developing services. It's we had a long discussion in GOOS. I've been part of GOOS, as you can imagine, from 1992 in Rio. I was there when GOOS was launched. Okay, so by Professor Woods. So the thing is that we need now to say that there is a service component to GOOS, and we have to define, and clearly most of it is at the cost. So, so changing inside, bringing the novelty from, and there are other programs that do that, bringing the novelty inside UNESCO IOC. And the last one, last but not least, is that this DCCCR, if we are able to make it a stronger alliance of people for coastal resilience. Coastal resilience is much more than sensors, and so it has all the social part, awareness. We have to couple with the tsunami people that have a lot of experience. And so hopefully we will have the DCCCR becoming a new reality for UNESCO IOC and for the community, the oceanography community, for the coast. So which reality is still to be decided together. I mean, yeah.
Thank you, Nadia. So thank you again. Let's move. I will ask now Emma Helsop to give us an introduction from the GOOS, the Global Ocean Observing System. Emma is working at GOOS ISC in Paris. Emma, do you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we hear you.
Can you see my screen? I'll just put it on full screen.
See your screen. We don't see you. Just a moment. I don't know if we can see both. Okay, thank you, Emma. You can start.
Great. Thanks very much, Giovanni. And I'm afraid to come after this inspiring talk by Nadia, but I wanted to perhaps echo some of the points that Nadia has been strongly making. You know, putting a program into the ocean decade was all about transformation, and the programs that are associated with GOOS are all about transforming GOOS. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit on that and you know, note the excitement that we have around the work that CoastPredict is doing, the direction it's taking, and you know, to encourage the development and the interaction with GOOS. So let me move forward. Just to, you know, bit of background. I mean, we know how important ocean observations are going to be and are fundamental to society. And GOOS concentrates in three key sort of delivery areas for operational services, for weather and hazard warnings, then also for climate, and then the third area is ocean health. And these are really, you know, these are all areas that the CoastPredict and the Global Coast applications and pilots are looking to support. But it's great, really, and vital to have this Global Coast initiative embedded within GOOS, because no one country can observe the ocean effectively on its own. We need to have an interplay between the open ocean observing and the coastal observing, and we need to develop more infrastructure, more support, and more kind of frameworks in order to enable the global coastal observing to take this big step forward. And CoastPredict has been working really strongly in this area, and you know, really advancing in and taking these transformational steps. I'll also step back and say, I see this really as a part of in 2019 the GOOS released its sort of 2030 strategy, and at the core of that was really the need for observations to underpin a wide range of applications, to look at those connections down the value chain, in the end to engage with co-design, but really to have working observations, data management, modeling and applications all together to enable the myriad pathways from these observations to applications, but also to enable feedback from those applications as to what is the observing system we really need, the global system, to support the applications that society needs. And so I'll just talk about the two key global programs that came out of some of this thinking and placed in the Ocean Decade as a real opportunity, and it has been an opportunity to give visibility, but also to make these new connections to industry and other areas. This is CoastPredict, really looking to revolutionize global coastal observing and forecasting and supporting the coastal communities for risk and adaptation. And Ocean Observing Co-Design, and there's quite an interplay between CoastPredict and Ocean Observing Co-Design. And the co-design program is around transforming our ocean observing system so it's co-designed with users and responds to their needs, and takes a different sort of thematic approach to that. But the interplay between what these two programs are working on is fairly constant. So how do I see, or how do we see this CoastPredict being transformational for GOOS? So in a sense, CoastPredict set out talking about structuring the coastal observing and forecasting, the connection to users, really making this happen. And you can see from all of the presentation that Nadia has given, that was at the core idea. But you also see, in order to achieve those aims, a whole series of other transformational pieces coming alongside that, and I really encourage all these developments. The challenges in modelling of climate and integration of other modelling of elements into coastal prediction is moving forward. That kind of science driver at the heart of CoastPredict. We're developing new partnerships with the private sector, even thinking about how to structure things, the cloud system, etc., so that private enterprises can also build applications from the infrastructure, from the observing and modeling infrastructure. So looking at how to do that in a really concrete way, envisaging new cloud computing infrastructure, looking at AI. We're also working, as we'll hear later on today, around tapping into new funding sources for areas that of the world that don't have such a developed infrastructure. And something I think is a really fantastic development in line with these new funding sources is working with the GOOS regional alliances for the Global Coast projects and pilot sites, really integrating the efforts of CoastPredict right into the GOOS structure there. This is a really fantastic development. As these pilots take off, you can embed it into the work is co-design with users, and you heard Nadia also talk around the survey and the data that came out that helps structure those pilot sites from what the user needs are, and also reference to creating that coastal network, the community. So it's not just about taking observations and forecasting and delivery into the coast. There's really a whole raft of transformational pieces that come into actually delivering this work, and it's very exciting to be as a part of this and seeing how this can help transform GOOS on a wider level. I also would just like to reference that this is also the elements that CoastPredict is working on are very much in line with the forward-looking where we need to be by the end of the decade that the Ocean Decade did in creating the Vision White Papers, which was a work of last year. And the Vision White Paper number 7 was around expanding the global ocean observing system. And you see in this kind of arc on the right-hand side, sorry, the left-hand side, diversifying partnerships, co-design and co-development, expanding human capacity, and new economic thinking about the resourcing we need. These are all parts of the CoastPredict program. So really contributing to GOOS, contributing to the decade goals there. And just to mention the Ocean Decade Coordination Office, also under GOOS, around ocean observing, and this, this office is really looking at picking up and helping to support programs that are really looking at this in these forward-thinking areas about where we need to go. And finally, just perhaps a reflection, how does this fit with GOOS? We have the various GOOS elements, and some of you may have seen this diagram. It's a kind of a component structure diagram of GOOS, I guess I would call it. You can see the power of, being linked to IOC UNESCO, also as a partner and sponsor of GOOS, we have WMO, UNEP, and the International Science Council right at the base. So, the elements of GOOS have visibility within all of these, the mandates of all of these large organizations, and we're delivering data at the end to the decision makers, the member states, users, and also the funders. And in the middle, you have a kind of a management structure. And so what I've put here is a kind of a bracket, an orange bracket on the right-hand side. I don't know if this works, and some strong arrows into those users and decision makers, really to show perhaps that I see the Ocean Decade projects perhaps not fitting only in that sort of box at the top close to the users, but also interacting strongly and really helping increase the connections across GOOS towards delivering to users. And so really working with the other parts of GOOS in helping focus this aim. So this is a sort of a little diagram to help perhaps sort of visualize how I see the CoastPredict program working more deeply now within the GOOS structure. Okay, and those were just some reflections, and I guess I will just say continue the good work. And sorry I can't be there. I'm unfortunately in another meeting in Sopot in Poland.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Yeah. We'll miss you indeed in Lecce. Next time you should come. And now we are running a bit out of time, so I will move to Abehu, who will introduce us to, is from ECOPs Group, and he will introduce the workshop and try to keep the 5 minutes time.
Maybe 2 minutes.
2 minutes, fantastic. And then we will...
No slides. No slides. And thank you very much. Buongiorno. Good morning to everybody. Nice to see familiar faces. Nice to see people that I used to see only in Litterbox, but now I see them in 3D. Just a quick report. There will be 66 ECOPs who registered online and on-site, 17 middle career, and 18 not so early senior career ocean professionals that registered for the workshop that will happen the last 2 days. Of course, we still welcome anybody who wants to stay on to come to the workshop to help guide us. That is most welcome. We will try to develop at the end of the workshop certain small projects that could support the Global Coast project. Essentially, we hope to come up with at least 2 to 3 solid, good projects to be proposed, and then we'll report back to everybody after the workshop. Maybe we could not report face-to-face, but certainly we will communicate. I would like to just thank a few people. Alessandro is not here, probably she's online. Doretta, I already see you at the back. Joseph is in online, and also the 3 wonderful lady, Myred, Ariba, Fernanda, for many, many online meetings that we had just to develop a good workshop coming to you. So again, thank you very much. I would welcome everybody to join, and don't ask any questions, ask later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abe. It was perfect introduction to the workshop. Now the session is finished, and we move to the next session on CoastPredict core project updates. I leave the floor to Mayred, and I invite the speakers to come.